It's Goodreads horror time. I'm gonna read all 20 of the nominees for the best books of the year according to Goodreads. Okay, is this really best? No. It's the most popular. They're trying to sell books. That's what this is. But it is based on a lot of people reading the books. It has to have over a certain rating based on the number of people that have read it. I love to read what's popular, know what people are liking. So I'm gonna read all 20. I am a bit scared. There's some books in this list that I decided I wasn't going to read. And I have only read 7 of them before this video. Witchcraft, Wayward Girls, Immaculate Conception, Play Nice, Bat Eater, When the Wolf Comes Home, The Lamb, and Lucky Day. Which means I still have to read Breathe In, Bleed Out by Brian McCauley, How Bad Things Can Get by Darcy Coates, Blood on Her Tongue by Joanna Van Veen, The Possession of Alba Diaz by Isabel Cañas, What Hunger by Catherine Dang, Coffin Moon by Keith Rawson, You Were Meant to Be Human by Andrew Joseph White, We Love You Bunny by Mona Awad, which is one that I said I was not going to read, but here we are. The Haunting of Payne's Hollow by Kelly Armstrong, The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, The Buffalo Hunter by Stephen Graham Jones, Hungerstone by Kat Dunn, Never Flinch by Stephen King. Here's the thing, I'm not going to be reading this one. This is book 4 in a series that I have disliked and DNF'd books in, so I'm not doing it to myself anymore. I have loved books from Stephen King, but this series is not that, and the Holly universe is just not for me, so I will not be reading this one. The 7 I've already read, I will be talking to you about as well. So we're gonna chat about 20 books. There's a lot of reading to do, and I'm hoping to find a new favorite horror book. Okay, we need to pick my first book. I put them all in this cute spider venom jar that I have. This usually just sits on my shelves, but I have a bunch of these folded up pieces of paper that I got for journaling and never ended up using. I had 20 of them, so they're all in here. I have read a decent amount of them. It's gonna be a little hard to shake. So when they are pulled, I'm just going to tell you my thoughts on them. I will have videos linked for all of them that I have previously read. Hello? Okay, that's probably not what I want on the internet. So oh, I'm scared. What is it? What is it? The first one is one that I have already read, Lucky Day. So what I'm gonna do is talk to you about that second. Like, I don't want to start this with one that I've already read. So the next one, oh god, okay, let's not do that. Oh, I'm not doing very great. So hopefully first we will be reading, oh, doing great. Oh, okay. Listen, I love Stephen Graham Jones, but this one really scares me for some reason. It's just because it's historical, but we will be starting with The Buffalo Hunter. And then when I finish that, we will talk about Lucky Day. You know, I can't wait for the day where I'm filming and the door behind me moves and I get scared and then realize it's just one of my animals. I don't know why I was thinking about that, but you know, here we are. So I have been reading The Buffalo Hunter, obviously, and I just really quickly wanted to show you the special edition that I have because this is the Owl Crate quarterly horror box. I'm not gonna like do full details of it, but well, I mean I am, but not like slow. So I want to show you the inside. It's not gonna focus on that. And then there's also alternate art on the inside. Okay, so the reason I wanted to show you this, one, because it's pretty, but two, because this book really is a book within a book, and the hardcover is showing that. I can't say this. I don't know how to say this word. I don't. I'm sorry. And I'm listening to the audiobook and I still don't think that I could properly say it. So in this, we are reading journals, and it is very interesting of a choice because instead of just getting the story being told like as it's happening, we are technically set in 2012. And the first chapter, which I was very intrigued by, and I'm a little bit sad that we haven't gone back to it, and I don't know if we're really going to much, is set in July of 2012. And we are following I actually don't know what her name is. It doesn't really matter because she doesn't really exist in this book. And she has found this journal from her great grandfather in his journal that is found in the walls. She's going to use it to further her career. She, I believe, works at a college, and she pretty much is told, like, you can't further your career unless you publish something, and she has no ideas. And then this comes up and she decides she's going to publish this book, so she's reading this journal. So then we switch to 1912, and that happens, what, 20 pages in. And then so far, 150 pages in, we are still in 1912. My complaint is that I wish we were going back and forth and there was a present day storyline. I understand why that first chapter is there, so that we know that we're reading journals and there's like some context to that, but with the setup at the beginning, I thought that there was going to be a plot with that as well. And as of right now, there's not. And I'm like, okay, but I want to get back to that a little bit. So I do wish that that was maybe done a little bit differently, because for my personal taste, I'm like, but what about the present day storyline too? Which is my problem. Like, I don't prefer historical fiction. So I want it to be in the present day, and I want her researching the things she's learning about and figuring out if things are true and if they're not, because this is a vampire book. So in this, we are following her great grandfather, who is a Lutheran, I believe, pastor, and we are getting him transcribing the story from someone named Goodstab, and he believes that he is a vampire, and we are, well, he's not called a vampire, but it's a vampire, and we are watching him like going around and feeding and learning how to be a vampire, seeing how he became one. And then he is going and telling this pastor, who I can't remember his name, the stories. And the pastor is like, he's just like not all there and he needs some help, so he is doing that for him. But Goodstab comes every once in a while and they kind of go through his story. I do think there's a little bit of humor in here that I'm enjoying, specifically the pastor. I am finding his character funny. He's not like supposed to be like haha funny, but just like little things. I think that this is like a little too smart for me with the way that it's written. The pastor has like kind of very involved vocabulary that I'm like, oh, what is this word? I am liking it. It's not something that I'm obsessed with because I just feel like slightly confused, I guess, but also I'm just going to kind of trust Stephen Graham Jones and believe that he will kind of give me information as it's needed, and I'm just kind of along for the ride watching Goodstab walk around, do his blood-sucking thing. I am now 306 pages into the Buffalo Hunter, but really this book is this journal. So yes, it is the Buffalo Hunter, but like it's also this book that I still don't know how to say. So I will say I've been struggling a little bit. It is very historical, and that is not usually my favorite. We are just going back and forth between hearing about Goodstab and his life as probably a vampire and trying to survive and everything he has gone through, and then also this pastor that is transcribing everything. I was losing steam. I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this anymore. And then we got some information and I am a lot more invested now. This is a book that is just slower and a bit more dry, with very like gory moments, very descriptive times of vampire stuff. And the story itself is just not like sucking me in, but there's something about it that is keeping me from DNFing. I think at this point it'll probably be 3.5 stars. Probably closer to 3. I think I gave I Was a Teenage Slasher 3.5 stars, and I was definitely more invested in that one, but it just felt so removed from the story. Even though I'm really close to the end, I want to give this the best shot for me to enjoy it more though. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna pick another book and read that alongside this one. I am liking this, but it's definitely not a read the whole book in one sitting kind of book. It's taken me a couple days to really get through this, and honestly it's taken me until 300 pages to truly feel like enough has happened that I'm like, oh, I need to know more, because I didn't need to know more until literally the last chapter, and now I definitely do need to know. So, not a DNF, like I am going to continue, but we are going to pick my next book. The plan is I am going to start my next book, depending on how fast I'm reading it. I might talk to you about that one. So right after I finish the Buffalo Hunter is when I will talk about Lucky Days. So, the next book I will be reading, oh, it fell on the floor. Hang on. I'm really hoping that this is one that I have not read. Oh, it is. Okay. So next up will be Hungerstone, which is that another vampire book? Oh, interesting. Okay. I don't know why I'm folding this up. I'm not putting it back in here. So lots and lots to chat about. I'm hoping the Hungerstone is a bit of a quicker read and I get invested earlier on, because that is really what I need right now. There's just been some like things going on, some like information that we were told about a family member that's just like, I need something that is going to suck me into the story and I'm going to be invested immediately. So I hope that is this one for me. If we're being honest, I'm a little scared of it though. Okay, so I have both finished the Buffalo Hunter and gotten a third into Hungerstone. I have started a new puzzle. I guess I should specify that it's a jigsaw puzzle because there's different kinds of puzzles. But I started a new one and it's like a bunch of sushi and it's making me very hungry. Winston is joining us back there. So the Buffalo Hunter, the problem for me is that Stephen Graham Jones is much smarter than me. The other problem is that I don't really love historical fiction, and this is so historical focused. I am going to give this one 3 stars. I really appreciated the conversations that it had surrounding how Indigenous people were treated and their land was taken and everything with that. But I just don't love like this overall setting. I was just never fully invested in the story. There are moments of higher intrigue for me and there's a lot of like gory moments, and I did find some moments funny. Not like I was laughing out loud, but there were just like comments the characters made that I just appreciated the humor in it. But overall, 3 stars. I will continue to read from Stephen Graham Jones. Some of my all-time favorite books, specifically My Heart is a Chainsaw and Night of the Mannequins, are from Stephen Graham Jones. I just am hopeful for a not historical book next, which he doesn't do a lot of anyway, so it's fine. I wish I was smarter. I wish that I was into historical fiction, but I still thought it was good for the story that it is. I want to readjust and then we will talk about Hungerstone. I need to pick a bookmark because I have started Hungerstone and I am somebody that has a lot of bookmarks. I send out bookmarks on Patreon, so I end up collecting a lot between that, readathon bookmarks, things that my friends send me. So I kind of have been trying to do that thing where you like match the cover to your bookmark. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do that for this one, but I am 106 pages and I just got to chapter 9. This feels like Dracula. I'm assuming it is at least Dracula inspired book, or Carmilla, I think specifically. And I read Dracula like a year or 2 ago, but I don't remember the specifics of it. So in this we are following Lenore, and she is in a pretty loveless marriage. Her husband very much just kind of expects her to exist, do things for him, really do what he wants, take care of things, set up his parties, all this stuff. And it's just annoying. That aside, they are moving to an estate of their own. They have gotten this property with a house on it that is fairly run down, and they are going to be doing some renovations to it. There's some staff that is coming with the house, which is just interesting. Also, the bookmark that I'm gonna go with is this one because of the lime green Franken kitty on it, even though this isn't a Frankenstein book. The other two I was between were one of my Patreon bookmarks and a Realmathon bookmark. This is from Cassidy's Patreon. So at first they were into each other. They did have not a completely loveless marriage, and over the 10 years that they have been together, he neglects her, just expects her to do everything, and she is kind of tired of it. And they're on the way to their new house. They are in an accident that then finds Carmilla, and they end up taking her to their house and taking care of her. They have a doctor that's coming in. I don't actually know when this is set, but it very much feels like a long time ago. But part of Lenore's issue and her stuff with her marriage is that she has not had children. She hasn't been able to. I don't remember if she even wants to at this point, but it is something that was at least expected of her. So there's conversation surrounding that. So then she starts having these weird dreams, and she realizes when she wakes up that the person that is in her weird dreams is the person, Carmilla, that is at her house recovering, and that is suspicious. She starts to feel this connection for Carmilla, things she has not felt before. I feel like maybe I knew that this was possibly sapphic, but also did I know? I have no idea. And then girls from local villages start to fall sick, consumed by terrible hunger. And Lenore is also planning for this party that her husband is throwing. There's this like day that is like hunting day pretty much. So they're having a hunting party, which just whatever. So her husband is like having all these guys over, and I guess they're gonna shoot stuff in his yard. And then there's also this like weird thing with his past that we're like, what are you doing? Why are you being so creepy? And like there's ominous ominous like sentences that our main characters like thinking about this hunting party related to her husband, and I do want to know what that is. So then she is like torn between her husband and Carmilla, who ends up staying with them longer than initially expected because of her recovery. I'm waiting for all these like creepy things to start happening, but so far I'm fairly invested. I flew through the first 100 pages and didn't even really realize that I'd gotten there until I was like, I don't know what time it is when I was doing my puzzle. Also, I think that this is like a true painting. I have seen that that is a trend with more like literary leaning books, so it's fun to see it in this horror book. But like, isn't that relatable? I just kind of want to lay like that too. I continued to work on my puzzle. I feel like I made good progress today. And I am like 60% in, so I just got to part 2, and I figured that was a good place to check in. So this is a book that I don't necessarily feel invested in, but at the same time, I want to keep reading. I want to know what's going on. It's slower. There's not much happening in the plot, but there's just something about it. In the part that I just read, we started to witness this like weird thing that is going on. I think it's specifically girls from the local village. Yeah, so it is only females that this is happening to. And we are also watching Lenore learn about the world that she's living in and her husband. And this is really a book about getting what you want and not choosing to ignore things just for the sake of comfort. And Lenore is going from not really knowing about anything to taking things into her own hands, and that is happening in a bunch of different ways. And this way I am really liking seeing her kind of come into her own. I do wish that I wasn't reading another historical book right now. I don't think that I would be obsessed with this either way, because I just like really, historical's not doing it for me recently. Sometimes it can work for me, but I didn't love it in Buffalo Hunter x Hunter. I'm not loving it in this. I just feel always just like slightly disconnected to the story because of it. And it's not even that I'm like, I want it to be like the version of the world that I live in. I just don't even know how to explain it. So I need to sit and think on that, I think. But I'm liking the conversations in here. I have read Dracula, but I have not read Carmilla, so maybe I do need to do that. But on the back it does say it's a compulsive feminist reworking of Carmilla, the queer novella that inspired Dracula. I'm enjoying seeing Lenore learn more about herself and what she's willing to do to get what she wants. I just personally like a bit more fast-paced book, or I don't know. That being said, this is something that I'm very much enjoying. I am just not completely obsessed. I have finished Hungerstone. I do wish that I did not get 2 historical vampire books in a row, but the good thing is that these are so different. So in Hungerstone, let me grab it. The vampires aren't the focus of the story. They are, but it's more about our main character learning what she wants out of life and doing the things she needs to do to get that, which I love, I appreciate. I love the conversation surrounding being in a situation and staying there for comfort and not wanting to sacrifice that comfort to have what you truly want. And I think that that's something that can apply to a lot of people, even outside of relationships. And it was her relationship and the life that she was in because of the relationship. That was like her thing that she wanted to get out of, but it can apply to so many things. So if that conversation wasn't the focus of the story, I do think I would have liked it less. I do think that this could have been creepier. It could have been just more gory with the girls in the town getting this like weird, it says sickness, but I still think I'm going to give this one 4 stars. Love the conversation. It kept my attention. It was entertaining. I really enjoyed seeing our main character get what she wanted and learning about how to realize what you want. So I liked that. I still don't know if I found the perfect vampire book for me. I feel like I always want something slightly different. And this one, in the vampire aspect, did not really deliver for me. But I appreciate having the sapphic story in here. I appreciate women's rights sometimes while doing wrong things. And I'm glad I read it because it's one that I was putting off because of it being historical and maybe a little more literary. But I'm happy. Okay, I do want to chat about Lucky Day before we get too far in and I forget that I need to talk about it. So Lucky Day by Chuck Tingle. I personally gave this one 3.5 stars, I believe. I once again really liked the conversations in this. We're following Vera, and at the very beginning there's this event that kills a bunch of people in pretty much the strangest ways possible. They're things that should never happen, but it's like that 1 in a million chance, except it's tons and tons and tons of people at the same time. Everybody happens to have this connection to this casino, and our main character is a professor of statistics, I believe, former statistics and probability professor who has written a book surrounding this, and that is what she's celebrating at the beginning. She also has a very strained relationship with her mom because she is bi, and her mom thinks that that's not a real thing. So after this event, Vera spends time self-sabotaging and not living her life anymore because she's like, everything I knew is false. There's no way all these things should have happened, and she just doesn't know what to do with her life. Then this guy shows up. He is an FBI agent and says, there are these low probability events that we are investigating and you're an expert, so you're coming with me. I don't love books where people are going from place to place to place in a formulaic way where they're investigating things or looking for things or trying to get things and then just like something happens and then they move on, and that is why I ended up giving this one 3.5 stars. I enjoyed the discussions on it. I wish that it was more set at this casino, and then I always appreciate the conversations that Chuck Tingle has in his books. This is actually my least favorite of his horror books. Well, I've only read his horror books, but I would still recommend it. I really want this to pop, but it doesn't. So anyway, let's see what I'm going to read or talk about next. I guess this is the one that wants to come out. I just ripped the paper. Okay, cool. Doing great. The Lamb. Okay, fitting that I ripped this one. Let me grab it. I am the unpopular opinion, but I DNF'd this book. I thought that it was incredibly boring. So in this, we are following this young girl who is in school, and at the beginning, a woman is brought in. They live in a place where they are pretty much setting up these traps for strangers to come and then they eat them. Sounds exciting, right? Wrong. We are following a child that is not directly involved in anything, so it is her experience watching her mom kind of doing these things and then bringing in this woman who initially they're supposed to eat, and then the woman kind of like infiltrates her way into their lives. So she is just existing, trying to figure out what to do, and feeling like she is losing her mom to this other woman. I am starting to feel like maybe gothic books aren't for me. I didn't love the gothic aspects in Hungerstone. I didn't like it in this one. I think in theory I like the vibes, but not what it leads to in books. This one was truly just so boring. I wish that we were getting maybe some chapters from Mama's perspective, because she is the one that's doing things, and we weren't getting a lot of plot, and I was just terribly bored. So a DNF for me from The Lamb, but people who like gothic fiction, people who like slower moving stuff do like it, so I wouldn't say to not read it. Okay, now, this is the one that came out first. Hopefully this is something for me to read. Ooh, okay. How Bad Things Can Get. This is a Darcy Coates book. It is an influencer who is bringing hundreds of fans to an island to play games. Things start to go wrong. So I think this is going to be a mix of horror and thriller. I'm assuming a little bit slasher-esque. Very different from Darcy Coates' like typical haunted house stuff, but I do think she might be moving away from that some, considering her last few releases. Very excited to get into this one. I do expect to like it, because I don't think I have rated a Darcy Coates book under 3 stars, and I've read 15, 16 of them, so a lot. Welcome to my basement. Also, look at Nova back there, just sleeping. So cute. I am done here working on my puzzle, which is mostly sushi, but some like edamame, avocado, and I've been working on this for most of this video, so anytime I've mentioned a puzzle, this is what I've been working on. And I've been listening to the audiobook of How Bad Things Can Get, but I do have a physical copy, so I wanted to grab that. I'm 130 pages in. I just got to chapter 18, and I am liking this one. It isn't as like tense and stressful as I want it to be, but I don't think I'm surprised by that either. So in this, we are following a couple different characters, but our main character I feel like we're following is Ruth. Well, I think she's really the only character we're following, but then every once in a while we're getting these like jumps to other people experiencing scary things on the island. I've seen people pitch it as if Mr. Beast rented an island and put on a bunch of games. It is that kind of thing. It's this very big internet personality, has millions and millions of subscribers, invites all these people here. There are some like tickets that rich people can buy. There are some random spots, and there's like lottery. So it's a mix of people that are going to this, and they are told that they're going to play these games on this island, and they are going to be winning a cash prize for different games. It's supposed to be 5 days on Prosperity Island, and then we are following Ruth, and she didn't really want to go on this trip, but her boyfriend did, and she is just paranoid all the time because she is the only survivor of a cult. She was found as a child and put into the foster care system and has been dealing with the effects of being in this cult her whole life. She was very young when she was found, but she still remembers parts of it. And since she was a child, her identity was never shared. So people are trying to figure out more specifics of this case and who the survivor is, because it is coming up on the 20th anniversary. And then the history of this island is revealed, and it is related to her past in some way, so she feels like she has been brought here to be exposed. So Ruth has been experiencing some things where she feels like this island is not safe, but every single time she goes to get proof, people tell her that she's wrong, or it's set up because the guy, is his name Elliot, Ethan, some E name. Whenever he brought them to the island, he made like a big deal about the past of this island. Oh, Eaton, that's his name. I know it was an E name. I do wish this was in first person, which is my preference in horror books, but especially in a situation where it is more high action, fast paced, like stressful situations. Like our main character played in this first game that was kind of physically daunting and could result in people being really hurt. And I didn't feel the tension reading that because I was just observing it, and I just truly prefer to be in a main character's head, like feeling what they're feeling in these situations. But so far so good. I think it's fun. It definitely isn't like bringing in the slasher vibes at this point, which with the Mr. Beast thing, I've seen people saying that it's like if Mr. Beast brought people to an island and it turned into a slasher movie. I'm going to keep working on my puzzle and listening to the audiobook because it is going well for me. So I might still be in this spot next time I talk to you. I have been sitting over here with Nova, and I am now, I think it's like 250 pages into How Bad Things Can Get. For part of this, I was listening to the audiobook and working on my puzzle over there, but I just wanted to sit and read for a little bit. I just got to chapter 34, and so far, this does not feel like a slasher to me. I guess maybe later on it will, but as of right now, I just feel like this is like a thriller book with some horror elements. I definitely don't see the slasher stuff, so maybe that will change, but maybe not. So we are just continuing to really get character backstory. There are a few moments where we are getting more horror elements, like I told you earlier, like little bits interspersed throughout that are definitely the only like horror parts of this, but a lot of this is following Ruth, and we're also seeing a lot about her past because things that are happening now are making her think of things. So we're getting her backstory, which is very horrific. The thing is, we're not getting a lot of actual backstory of her childhood, of how this cult was run. It's really just like the end of the cult that we are learning about, and that stuff is horrific, but I do wish we were getting a little more backstory for the cult itself, other than like, oh, this man was manipulative and we weren't allowed to have medicine, like the very standard stuff. Like I wish that there was a little more involvement with that because we are getting page time with it. And then in the present day, there's both a lot going on and also I feel like not much at the same time. I truly think that if this was in first person, I would be liking it more because I just don't think that we're getting enough tension from it. And the few moments that are more exciting aren't even with our main character for the most part. There's clearly something going on, and people specifically running it seem to be hiding something. And we are getting the perspective every once in a while of somebody that is like the main organizer behind everything, because there's this YouTuber and then also like he has staff. So we are getting her perspective a little bit, learning about everything. I'm just a little confused because I thought that this was going to be a slasher and it really is not that at this moment. But I'm liking it. Like, it's easy to read, easy to get through. It's entertaining enough. I was just hoping for more of the games and more tension within the games and more excitement with that versus some of the other stuff that we're getting. And I don't know how to explain that without giving specific details of things, but it's decent. I do wish Darcy Coates would go back to her ghost books because I feel like those are the ones that have a lot of tension and dread for me, and I don't get it as much in her like mix with thrillers that she's been doing recently. Like, I like them, but it's hard because I really like her ghost stories more, I think. It is getting late and I am going to lay in bed and finish up the last bit of How Bad Things Can Get, and then I'll probably start another book, but I'm not coming back upstairs to film the vlog clips, so sorry. So I am going to pick my next book and probably, I got the pop, probably start that tonight, and then I'll talk to you again in the morning. So next up will be The Haunting of Payne's Hollow, which I am so excited about and really glad that, oh, I ripped it again. Really glad that this one was picked. Okay, lots and lots of updates. I last night did finish How Bad Things Can Get. Also, since I've been showing you the bookmarks I've been picking for every book, I went with this creepy coffin one that is also a bookshelf. So I think I'm gonna give this book maybe 3.5 stars. I really did like the end, but my problem is we didn't get enough backstory. So the reason that everything is happening, oh, also, I would say that the last part of this does feel more like a slasher, but this still doesn't feel like a true slasher movie to me, and I don't know how to explain it. But like, I'm not in charge of who decides these things. So it did have like these moments towards the end that did feel like a slasher. People were running. There was like the hiding and the people coming for people, whatever. And I liked the explanation on why all of this was happening, but my problem was that I didn't care about any of it. I didn't think that it was interesting enough because we didn't get backstory on the things that it involved. I don't want to say much because I don't want to spoil things, but I feel like it was all just kind of happening and I was given no reason to care other than the fact that it was happening. I wanted to be invested in the details of what was going on to really care, because I wanted to care enough to like weirdly root for both sides. Like, you want to feel for the people to make it more emotionally impactful, I feel, and I wasn't really rooting for anybody. I didn't care about the characters and what was going on, and in a story like this, the plot is not enough. And sometimes I don't even need to care about the characters, but I need like the setup for the plot to be done really well. So just like something, it was missing that for me. So I think I'm going to give this one 3.5 stars because I did overall have a fun time with it. I just never was thinking about it when I wasn't reading it because I didn't feel invested in what was actually going on. I do love the setup, the idea of these games being played. I do wish that they were a little more, not involved, I don't know. I did like the other one felt a little less exciting for me, but I wish we were getting more from that. I did think this is a good time. It's fast paced, it's fun. I just wanted more depth to the story. Okay, wanted to readjust a little bit. I did start The Haunting of Payne's Hollow. I read like 10 pages before I fell asleep last night, and then I listened to the audiobook and read along on my Kindle for about an hour, and I need to pick my bookmark for this. So I'm gonna do that when we talk. So in this we are following, what is her name? Samantha. Also, this is the book. We're following Samantha, and at the beginning we find out that her grandfather has died. There's a funeral for this coming up, and a lot has gone on in her family's past. So her family is fairly wealthy and owns a property on Lake Ontario that is in Payne's Hollow. And Payne's Hollow is known for having their own legend of a headless horseman like Sleepy Hollow, but theirs is like slightly different. And Samantha has had a bit of a rough past because she witnessed her father burying somebody when she was a child, told her mom, and then her mom ends up contacting the police and her father ends up taking his life. And because of that, her family relationship with her dad's side of the family is strained. It is fairly non-existent. So it's her dad's side of the family that owns like this cottage and stuff. So it is her dad's father, her grandfather, that has just died. And he believed that his son was innocent and could not forgive his family for not believing that he wouldn't, I think his name was Harris, that he wouldn't kill anybody. But Samantha's like, he literally left us a note, like, he did this, there's no way he didn't. And she goes to the funeral and there's this like little fight and she ends up going to the will reading. Turns out she has been left the entire property on Payne's Hollow, like their lake thing. And the way she has to get her inheritance is to be there for a month. They left out some little details, like she's being truly monitored and can only leave the property for a hour at a time. There's weird things. I don't know. Okay, I don't know what the synopsis says, but when she gets there, oh, okay, interesting. I just learned some things in the synopsis that haven't happened yet. So the grandfather always said that Harris, Sam's father, was innocent, and Sam and her mom did not believe it. And the only reason Sam is really entertaining the idea of this property is that it has been valued to sell for $10 million, and her mom has dementia and is in an incredible care facility, but she cannot afford it and has no money and pretty much needs to do it for her mom. So she had a lot going on with her mom after her father died, and she ended up living with her aunt. So now whenever Samantha is going out to this property, the aunt goes with her, and weird things start to happening, like weird things with animals, weird sounds, possible footprints, and the house is eerily similar to how she left it. There's a caretaker there, there's the local like sheriff and his daughter who she knew growing up. There's a lot of like moving parts to this. I'm fairly invested so far. I'm intrigued by the like little weird things that are going on, and I want to know why that is happening. The synopsis does say that there's something else that is going to happen, but there's like a lot of family secrets that are to be investigated and discovered and things like that. Oh, I didn't tell you, I just got to chapter 13. I haven't actually read from my actual book because I was reading on my Kindle. So I'm at 98 pages in. I'm really having a good time though. I think that it is done in a way where things are being revealed at like the perfect times to keep my attention, and it's really fun. Also, this is the bookmark that I am going to go with. I am once again down here working on my puzzle, but I'm getting very close to finishing, and I'm 225 pages into The Haunting of Payne's Hollow. Well, there are two reasons why I didn't talk to you earlier. One, because the air conditioner slash heater thing, HVAC, that's what it is down here and is very, very loud. So I didn't want to be yapping during that because it'd be really loud. But also I feel like I didn't have much to say, and now, I can't really tell you these things, but I feel like I want to talk to you more. So we just learned things, and this book is promoted as a supernatural book, and it's a very interesting setup. I haven't read a book like this before. I think it makes it very fun and unique. It's not just a super typical ghost kind of thing. I'm very much enjoying that it feels different. It doesn't feel like tons of other books that I've read before. That being said, I'm not completely obsessed either, and I don't know why. I think that there's just not enough going on, and maybe that is because this book is a little too short for me. I think that there could have been some creepier moments thrown in here that would have made me more invested, because the things that are happening, a lot of times she doesn't know if she's actually experiencing it, and I am not quite feeling the tension that she is feeling. In the synopsis, it literally says that her aunt goes missing, and I don't feel her emotions from that. I think that horror in general this year, I haven't been invested in what the characters are feeling. A lot of new releases just, I don't know, it might be me, but I feel like this hasn't been the biggest year for people being obsessed with new horror books. And I think that that is a part of it. I just feel like I'm not connecting to a lot of this. So that is my main issue, even though I'm enjoying the story and the setup and the uniqueness of this book. I just don't feel connected to it. And it's not that I'm like, wow, I don't relate, because that's not ever really an issue I have. I don't need to relate to the characters. I just need to feel what they're feeling. And I feel like a lot of books that I have read that are published this year are lacking that. I do wish that this had a different cover. I understand why it's the cover, but it's not my favorite. As of right now, I did like the author's last book that I read, the one that came out last year, I'll Be Waiting, You'll Be Waiting. And I would really, really recommend that one if you have not read from this author before. I love that one. It is a ghost story, so I feel like this author with writing horror will be in the supernatural paranormal side of it, which I think is very fun. And I think she has some weird ideas that I cannot wait to see explored later. So I'm going to finish this one up and I will be back. 50 novels! Wow. That's a lot. Okay, I literally just finished The Haunting of Payne's Hollow. My hair is stuck to my chapstick. I'm getting very close to the end of my puzzle, so I'm excited to pick my next book so that I can obviously read something and finish that. So, The Haunting of Payne's Hollow. I don't usually do quarter star ratings because it feels so silly. Well, I mean, it's not silly in general, but silly for me because I'm like, why can't you just pick one of the stars? But I think this feels like 4.25. It isn't quite a 4.5 because I do half star ratings, but it's more than a 4. So whatever. I like the direction it went in. I'm really excited to continue reading from Kelly Armstrong with her horror. I do feel like this reads a little bit of like a mix between horror and thriller. There's not a lot of like really horrific moments in here, but it definitely is still a horror book. I like supernatural books. I like the way that she does them. They feel very unique. I just wish that this had like a bit more to say in it. It wasn't the most fun book I've ever read, and it wasn't the most interesting with its discussions, which is what kept it from being a higher rating for me. I don't think that every book needs to be this like grand statement about something, and I don't expect every book to be the best, most entertaining thing I've ever read, but I just think that that's what could have made me like this one more. I would recommend it. I would recommend her previous book, I'll Be Waiting, or is it You'll Be Waiting? I don't know, but I think this was a lot of fun and very unique. So we are going to pick the next book. I don't know what I'm hoping for. I still have 8 to read. So part of my brain is like, okay, this one has to be one I've already read. And it is. So let me grab that. Okay, Play Nights by Rachel Harrison is in my top 3 books that I have read already, including the ones I've read for this video for the Goodreads Choice Awards. I think this is my second favorite Rachel Harrison, and I have read all of them at this point, I believe. So in this we are following a woman whose mother has died and she has had a very strained relationship with her. So her funeral is going to happen, and then she finds out that her and her sisters have inherited this house that they grew up in. Their parents got divorced, and then they lived here, and they had really not a good relationship with their mom, and she was stripped of custody of these girls. And the thing is, she claimed that the house was being occupied by a demon. So there are things that are happening because of her mom believing this or claiming it or whatever. So now our main character, Cleo, decides that she is going to take on the role of fixing up this house to then resell it. And she starts to experience things in this house that lead her to believe that maybe things weren't a complete lie from their mom. I liked the discussions in here. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I would really recommend this one. So we need to pick the next one, and what am I hoping for? Something in my brain says like maybe Coffin Moon. Okay, nope. It is another one that I have already read. I should have had someone else write these for me because I have bad handwriting, but the only one here is Adam, and my handwriting is better than his. Okay, let me grab my favorite of the ones that I've read. Bat Eater and Other Names for Cora Zhang is the full US title, but this is the UK Evernight edition. So I gave this one 5 stars. It is the only one that I have. Let me double check that. Yes, it is the only horror nominee that I have given 5 stars already, which is really sad because here's a side tangent. Last year, I think I had like at least 4 to 5 stars already in the Goodreads Choice Awards. I'm just like really sad that this year for horror publishing hasn't been my thing quite as much. Anyway, so in this we are following a woman during COVID who at the very beginning is at a train station, and in an act of hate her sister is pushed onto the train and dies, and she is grieving, dealing with this, and she is a crime scene cleaner. and these things start to happen. She is starting to kind of see things, and then these killings are starting to happen around Chinatown, I believe. Yes, she believes that someone is targeting East Asian women and that something might be targeting Cora herself. This also centers around the Hungry Ghost Festival that her family member has told her about. I loved the discussions in here. This one wasn't a 5-star read for me until the end. I really loved how everything wrapped up and came together and the things that this book had to say. It is a little bit slower, but there's some really, really creepy moments in this one. So I gave it 5 stars. Okay, now please give me one that I have not read because I don't want to keep yapping. Okay. When the Wolf Comes Home. I will talk to you about this one, and then I'm going to pull something until I have a book to read. When the Wolf Comes Home, I think I gave this one 3.5 stars. I think that this had some of the coolest things in it. The direction that it went in, I was obsessed with. I really loved it. My problem is, and I talked about this with Lucky Day, is that I don't love books where it feels like they are on this journey. And in this, they are in a situation, something bad happens, and then they move. And then something else happens, and then they move. And it's just like not my favorite way of things happening. And I understand for the story why it happened. It makes a lot of sense, but I don't know. I can't get past it. And a lot of books that do similar things have ended up like not being my favorite. But I absolutely will continue to read from Nat Cassidy. I think this is one of my favorite concepts of a horror book that I have read this year, and so many people love it. And part of me is like, should I reread this? Because like, what if I just like, I don't know, it was a me problem, and if I read it again, I will be obsessed with it because everybody is, and I want to love it so much. Anyway, we are following this woman who is a struggling actress, and she is going home and finds a boy crying in the bushes, takes him in, and then realizes that his father is very angrily chasing this boy, so they go on the run from him, which inherently is just not something that I guess I can be obsessed with. So if you do like that, I would highly recommend this one, but it was 3.5 stars for me. So here we go. Oh, nope, just one. What do I want to read? I'm kind of, okay. I have read this one, so I'm just gonna fold it back up and put it back in there, and we'll talk about it later. And I'm not even gonna tell you what it is because gotta keep you on your toes. Okay, I have not read this one. This is one that I am kind of scared to read, but it is The Bewitching by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. I think, is this one also historical? Why did I fold this up? I think this one is also historical, which like so many of these are, and that's not my favorite. So, I don't know. It's fine. I have given Sylvia Moreno Garcia 4 stars twice, and then I didn't love her vampire one. I forget what it's called. But I did like Silver Nitrate and Mexican Gothic. 3 women in 3 different eras encounter danger in witchcraft. Okay. I'm a little nervous. I am tired. I have read so much today because I wanted to get my puzzle done, and I feel just like completely drained of all of my energy. Did I read all of, what did I just read? The Haunting of Payne's Hollow, except for 10 pages today. And I'm now 130 pages into The Bewitching. Yeah, but my puzzle is done. It's the same puzzle as last time. There's just more pieces in it. And I feel just very kind of delusional right now. I was sitting here and I was like, I'm gonna fall asleep. And then I turned the camera on and I'm like a little, not weird. I just like, I don't know, my brain is telling me to knock it off and to just like go lay down. Am I gonna do that? I don't know. So The Bewitching, I was a little scared of this one before starting it because in my brain, listen, I know this is not the truth, but in my brain, historical means that it's going to be boring and slow. That's just like, you know, but I've read 2 historical books so far for this video, and neither of them were below 3 stars, so I'm just like being annoying. I have at least one more historical to read after this. Let me look at the list. I don't know if Blood on Her Tongue is historical, but The Possession of Alba Diaz is. So I do hope we don't get them back to back. I didn't love doing 2 historicals back to back last time either, but whatever. Anyway, in The Bewitching, we are in 3 different timelines. 1908, 34, and then 1998, roughly around those times. And we are learning about 3 different women who are encountering witchcraft. It says it's multi-generational, so I think they might be related. The synopsis, though, pretty much exclusively talks about Minerva, which is in the 1998 timeline, and that one does feel like it is the main storyline. So in 1908, we are following Alba, and here's the thing. She wants to date her uncle, which I guess maybe is more normal for 1908, but I personally have never wanted to date my uncle. Anyway. And I have like 10 uncles, so lots of... No, gotta cut that out. Anyway, I told you I was delusional. Okay, so in 1908, she wants to date her uncle, and that's really all my current brain is remembering now that I'm like 2 hours post pausing for a little bit so that I could eat dinner and take a break and do some stuff for my Patreon readathon. Okay, I remember now. So what happens in that storyline related to the witchcraft is that her brother goes missing. So her father has died, and it is her mother, and her brother, and maybe, I can't remember if there's a sister, but her brother is now like the man of the household and has to run this farm, and he seems to be like up for the task, but everyone else is like, you probably want your own family, like why would you want to do this? But he seems very into farming, and then he disappears, and there is suggestion that they get help from somebody that is known for doing witchcraft to help them find him. She's also into her uncle, so that's 1908. And then in 1934, we are barely in this one because we are switching between all of the timelines. But we've only had 2 chapters in the 1934, and we are following somebody that it is wartime and the Great Depression, and she is working as a marketer. She's doing something where she's like in the workforce and was able to get into certain jobs because nobody wants married women because they're then like taking the husband's job or whatever. But I don't really know what exactly is going on in this timeline. There's like a weird situation with somebody like following somebody, so I'm not really exactly sure what's going on with any of that. And then in 1998, we are following Minerva, and she is kind of like an RA, the student that is in charge of like a dorm in her college. Oh, okay. I just read the synopsis. So Alba in the 1904 storyline is Minerva's Nana, and she has told her stories of witchcraft, which then led Minerva to do a lot of investigating. So she is doing research for school, and it is surrounding this novel called The Vanishing, which is by Beatrice Tremblay. So she's learning about this author who is not very well known, but I believe is also Mexican. She's also a horror author, so Minerva is very interested in that. So Minerva uncovers that this book, The Vanishing, was inspired by a true story, so she is trying to find out what happened with that because there's disappearances and it seems like things could be involved with that. The synopsis does mention some like possible supernatural elements as well, but I have not gotten to that. I'm a little confused about what's going on. Well, not confused, but it's just a lot to keep up with the 3 different storylines. I don't tend to love books where it is 3 different stories like at different times. But this one is keeping my attention. Whenever we do get to the 1934 time, I'm not nearly as invested in that because we're barely getting it. I'm like, okay, why are we here again? But I'm really curious about what's going on. I want to know about this writer that Minerva's investigating. There's also the stuff with the disappearance of the brother in the past timeline. Like, I want to know all the answers, but I don't think it's the most exciting story I've ever read. Not that I think everything needs to be, because I think I've mentioned that a couple times in this video. But I'm liking it more than I expected to, which shouldn't be a surprise because I have enjoyed from Sylvia Moreno Garcia multiple times before. So, I am 200 pages into the Bewitching. Let me turn this light on. I am going to have to DNF this book. I actually don't care. I don't care. For a while I was thinking it was going to be 3 stars, and now I'm just so bored. I'm really bored. I don't know if I actually like books that are set up like this. So we are following the 3 different storylines, and they're all connected. And I would rather just be in one storyline and watching our main character learn about things in the past instead of experiencing all 3 of them, because I feel like I never have enough time with any of the stories to truly like be in the moment with them and care. And all I can think about is like, this girl is so into her uncle and like, why? So I am going to have to put this one down. I made it like 50 something percent in. Actually, let me look at the audiobook. I made it 57% in, and I actually can't because I'm struggling to read. I don't want to read because I don't want to pick this book up. And I wasn't admitting that to myself because I have liked books from this author before, but I don't think that I love this setup. 2 timelines is okay for me, but 3 I think is just too much. So I am sad about it, but you know, it's time for me to DNF it. So it is now time for my next book. I am going to say to you right now, if this is the Possession of Alba Diaz, I will be putting it back in and picking it later because I can't do another historical book right now. I can't. I just really can't. Oh, okay. So we have Breathe In, Bleed Out by Brian McCauley, which is very, very exciting for me. This is the one book that I don't have from the library. It's still like processing, so I haven't been able to get it yet. But I do have the audiobook, so that's fine. I have really, really liked from Brian McCauley before his Candy Cane Kills slasher series, kind of. I don't know how to explain that because it's like part of a bigger series, but then there's the first one and then a sequel, and then Curse of the Reaper I really enjoyed, so I expect to like this one. I like his writing. I think it's fun. I like the things he has to say in his books, and this is a shorter one. I think I need everything that this book is right now in my reading. So I'm really, really happy both with my decision to DNF, sadly, and also with the next pick. I have started Breathe In, Bleed Out, and I am 34% into it, I believe. I am listening. Oh, nope, don't play my audiobook. I am listening to the audiobook. I have some things that I have to do. Laundry, that's mostly it, but also like dishes, dishwasher stuff. So I've been listening to the audiobook of that. I do have an e-arc of this, so I have it on my Kindle as well. But so far I'm doing the audiobook. So in this we are following Hannah. And at the very beginning we are watching her, and she is on this trip with her fiance. They are out on a hike, and he ends up dying. So after that, she's obviously very traumatized. He proposed to her on this trip, so it was like a very big feelings trip between the extreme high of getting engaged, and they did have a happy relationship, to the very, very extreme low of losing him, having to abandon his body to survive herself. So there's a lot of stuff going on with that. She's also working at a hospital, and at the beginning we see that she, to cope with all of this, has ended up very reliant on pills. She was prescribed something, and she still is, but she's clearly taking them more than she should. So she ends up taking way too much at work, and there's an issue with a patient because of her actions specifically, and she's told that she really needs to take a break. So she ends up going on this retreat with her friend, her best friend, who she has been avoiding because she just doesn't want to deal with having any other feelings on top of the one she's already dealing with. Even having like a real conversation just feels like too much. So she's been avoiding her, and finally, with the help of her doctor, decides that she is going to go on this retreat to give herself a break, and then at the end of that she's going to get more like specific help for her problem. So her and some of her old friends who she went to college with are going to this retreat in Joshua Tree, and it is a kind of spiritual, like yoga kind of focused retreat. It's a wellness retreat. It's not like religious, and it is this new retreat, so it's an exclusive invite because her friend is like into like wellness influencing, so she gets an invite and they are all able to come. They get there, the guy of course is very charismatic. It is very reminiscent of a cult, but there's been some weird things going on that we see as weird, but they don't, at least right now. There are some very annoying people in this friend group that like, I'm pretty sure this is a slasher and I won't mind to see them go. I do like Hannah, our main character. I like her friend, but a lot of the other friend group I'm like, no. So there's that. We're also getting the perspective of some other people. Sometimes we get one of somebody that lives near Joshua Tree that then meets a bit of an unfortunate fate, and what is supposed to be a very restorative, peaceful, enlightening trip turns very quickly into the opposite. So I haven't really gotten to that point other than like a tiny little bit of ominous stuff, but I'm intrigued. I'm liking the vibes of this. I think that it's entertaining. I don't like the friends, but like I like seeing all their dynamics. I don't want to like everybody. And I do feel for our main character. She's gone through so much, and I understand why she is coping in the way that she is, but is also wanting to not do that, just like very self-destructive behavior. So I'm liking all of that. I think it's fun. I think it's entertaining. I just sat down to talk to you, and somebody joined me, and he is such a cutie. This is Winston, if you are not aware. He is my little baby, and he does not want me to talk in his ear. I'm what now, 67% into Breathe In, Bleed Out. There's been some really funny moments in here. Also, you are currently on a cat scratcher. It's actually like a haunted house that the cats can sit inside or like scratch on the top. So Winston is rubbing his face all over it. I'm 69% into Breathe In, Bleed Out. There are some very funny moments in here that are just like little one-off throwaway comments that I'm like, I see what you're doing, and that makes me laugh. I do think this has like a comedy aspect to it. This is this whole culturally appropriated retreat, and that is discussed throughout this book, how a lot of these wellness retreats take aspects of different cultures, and it's usually white people running them and are making lots of money off of these other cultures who practice these different variety of wellness things, specifically yoga. I really do like the play on breathe in, breathe out. I am enjoying that the kills that are in here are kind of related to wellness. I think that that's kind of a fun little take on it. And I just think it's a fun time. I am enjoying seeing what the characters are doing. I like seeing that our main character was initially falling for this guy and his front that he is putting on. I think it is kind of fun to see how easy it is to fall for very manipulative people like that, and then seeing her then be like, oh, actually, and trying to get other people kind of out from under his spell, which I feel like a lot of times in wellness books like this, it's a lot further in the book before people realize there's something sinister. We have gotten some reveals, which I have enjoyed, and there are certain things that are happening, and I'm like, okay, so what is this and what is this, and like, does this mean this is happening? And I think that it is maybe alluding to is very fun, and I'm interested. I'm having a good time. I expected to, because I do like Brian Macaulay's books, and I don't like every book by every author, but I thought I had a good chance because I already know that I like his writing style. It's just fun. It's fun. I was just on Patreon Sprints for 6 hours and I am very sleepy after all of that. I'm excited to lay in bed, but since I do have this on my Kindle, I'm gonna read a little bit more. I have to stay up anyway because Adam is late coming home from work today because of some stuff, so I can't fall asleep before he gets home, because if I do, Bowser's gonna bark, wake me up, and then I will not be able to fall back asleep. So perfect time to read, unless I accidentally fall asleep, which I might do because I've trained myself to fall asleep reading on my Kindle in bed. I am on Patreon Discord sprints, so for some of my tiers we do video chat sprints in Discord, and I'm having a lot of fun with that. I finished my book. I finished Breathe In and Bleed Out this morning. Listen, I'm impatient and I want to pick my next book first, and then I will tell you about my final thoughts for Breathe In, Bleed Out. So the next book that we are going to read, I guess, or talk about, because I do have some left that I have already read. Oh, okay. You Weren't Meant to Be Human. This one I'm scared of. I'm scared because I think it's, well, I don't think, I know it's going to be rough. So I also have a very pretty copy of it. This was the Evernight pick, and it is one of my favorites from them. I just think it's so unique and different, and like I really, really like this. Excited to read this one. I'm a little scared. Breathe In, Bleed Out, I am going to give 4 stars. I do have the same issue slightly with how bad things can get, that I didn't feel like it went deep enough for me. There wasn't enough like substance to the book, and I don't always need that, but I want like a little bit of it, and there was a little bit. I don't know how to explain it, but I just wasn't completely invested in all of them. Also ignore the fact that I lost a nail. I need to put that back on. I do like that we were following the same person. I do think that that gave me the opportunity to be more invested in what was going on and the characters versus in how bad things can get, where I'm like, okay, now we're watching this person and now we're watching this person. So this one did work better for me. I think that Brian McCauley writes really fun slashers. I do like Candy Cane Kills more. I liked the first one a lot. I gave it 5 stars, and then the second one I gave 4 stars. And I felt similarly to the second one, Candy Cane Kills Again, to this book. But there were some fun kill scenes. I liked that everything was related to the wellness retreat with that, and I liked everything that went on. Like, I liked how it wrapped up. It was entertaining. It was a good time. But I'm happy I got to Breathe In, Bleed Out. I did end up getting a copy of it on Pango for my shelves. Okay. I don't even know where to start with this book, what to talk about, but I am now to second trimester, so this is split into 3 parts. The first one is called first trimester, and then 100 pages in we get to the second trimester. I don't know where to start. I don't know what to say. I don't know if I'm liking this. I don't know. Okay, so this is Andrew Joseph White's first adult horror. He has a couple, I think 3 that are YA horror, and I haven't read any of them, but I went to the National Book Festival last year and he was there for his most recent YA book, and I really enjoyed that talk. I enjoyed hearing him talk about his experiences being trans and autistic and how that influences things, and I can absolutely see that in this book. So in this we are following Crane, who is a trans man, and he is part of the Hive, which is like a weird cult with worms, and the audiobook scared me. I actually jumped because the layering of the voices for the Hive when it talks, disturbing. It's so weird. This book is just a lot. So the Hive has a lot of rules, and one of them is that like you can't abandon the Hive, and if you do you will be killed. So we are following Crane, who also does not speak, so everything that we are getting is internal thoughts or texting between different people. Like, he has these friends that have an iPad that lets him vocalize, like he'll type things and then it'll read it out loud for him to talk. and he technically can talk but chooses not to. I don't know how to approach talking about this, if we're being honest. So he's in this relationship where he is being abused, but he likes it. So there's that dynamic going on. There's this new person being brought in, and this person is being saved from an awful relationship that they're in, and like ends up murdering somebody at the beginning. This book is very like using very, I don't want to say toxic because I'm not trying to like tell people that they're wrong with whatever, but very stereotypically toxic things, sexual things specifically, to deal with past trauma. We're getting that from Crane, we're getting that from another character, and I don't like that. I didn't like it in another book that I read. I don't like this very violent version of sex to be the way that people process things. And I'm not saying that people should not do that, but reading about it is not fun. Sorry, Dancing with the Stars finale just started and I needed to pause it real quick. And then this very awful thing to witness, like this guy gets pregnant from this relationship that he's in that is not physically healthy, at least. He ends up getting pregnant, and because of this hive that he's in, they are forcing him to give birth. He thinks he's early along, so goes to friends that are going to try to help him not be pregnant, and then the hive finds him pretty much, which was expected considering like this whole thing is Crane dealing with being pregnant as a trans man, being forced to give birth. So it's a lot. It's a lot. I can't say that I'm liking it. I just really don't prefer this kind of sexual horror, if we're being honest. But I completely understand why the author would want to write this and how cathartic this could be for people in the trans community, in the autistic community, and I can like appreciate that in the conversations that it's having. So it's a tough one. I am going to keep going. I think it's another 100 pages until it gets to to the third trimester section, so we'll see. So the last I talked to you, I said that I was going to continue reading You Aren't Meant to Be Human. I have read about 3 sentences, and I don't know if I can do it, at least right now. This is a really hard book for me because this is not a book where I feel like the things it's saying is wrong, but just the way that everything is done is not for me. This is a very, very character-focused book. Being in Crane's head is horrific, and I understand that there are people that sadly go through, maybe not to this extreme, because obviously like there's this worm cult, you know, that is a bit exaggerated with things, but just the combination of everything that's going on, the way our main character talks to himself is just awful. The conversation surrounding pregnancy is not for me either. I am already horrified by it without it being even worse, and just like this worm cult that I don't quite understand, forcing Crane to give birth just for the sake of this cult. Just I don't know. There's a lot of like good commentary in this, and I completely understand why anybody would love this. It could be so cathartic for people. I get it. Like I understand, but the combination of everything, as somebody who's not really bothered by a lot in horror books, I just feel like this is too much for me to read. I did not get any further. Like I literally read a couple sentences on the next page since I talked to you last. And the other problem is that I am not wanting to read because I am like, I don't really want to pick up that book. So I am going to pick something else. I might come back to this at some point, maybe in this video. I kind of don't expect to. I just don't. I don't know. I just can't do it. So we are going to pick my next book. I don't expect it to be more fun because all of these are horror, you know, but okay. So next up is Blood on Her Tongue. I didn't love this author's last book, but I thought it was decent. So fingers crossed I like this one more because I feel bad. It's crazy windy outside right now, so if it sounds like something's beating on my house, just the wind. I am 122 pages into Blood on Her Tongue. I would like to know why historical vampire horror is this big this year. I just don't understand, and I don't personally love it, and I don't want to be reading a third one. This one reminds me a lot of Hungerstone. So they're very different, but they very closely follow Dracula, and I just think that it's like not very exciting. I enjoyed certain aspects of Dracula, like when they were still in the castle at the beginning, so cool, but then when it switched to everything with Lucy, I'm like, oh, I don't care. We have a character named Lucy in here, and she is called because her twin sister Sarah has come down with some like very quick sickness. She gets a letter from her twin's husband, and he's like, you need to come immediately, she's not doing great. So she goes. This is set in 1887 in the Netherlands. So her sister Sarah is rambling about how someone's trying to kill her. She's having weird dreams, like the very stereotypical like Dracula kind of stuff. And she's been diagnosed with temporary insanity because of a fever, and then Lucy has to figure out what's going on. It says Sarah's behavior takes a turn for the strange. She becomes angry and hungry, but it's really just she's saying like, oh, I'm hungry, give me some slightly raw meat, which is a weird thing to say, but like a lot of people eat steak rare, which is another word for raw. None of this feels very unique. It doesn't feel exciting. I don't think it's bad. I think that the way the book is written is good. Like, it's engaging for what it is, but I just am not a historical horror person. I'm learning. And I, like, in theory already knew that because I didn't read any except for Witchcraft for Wayward Girls, but like I read all of Grady Hendrix books, so I kind of like that just makes sense. Having to read a lot of them in this video is not ideal, and like that's my bad, but also I wasn't expecting there to be so many, and I didn't even read the synopsis for this one, so I didn't realize that this one was historical. I didn't know Coffin Moon was historical, so I feel like I'm slowly losing my mind. That being said, I think this is decent. I at first was like extra annoyed because I'm like, this feels like I'm reading Hungerstone again, but it is different. It's keeping me engaged enough that I'm going to keep going, but I don't know. Gothic horror is fine, but not my favorite. Hello, Nova and I are here. I needed some comfort because I'm gonna DNF Blood on Her Tongue. Yeah, I know. Isn't it unfortunate? The thing is, like, I've read Dracula, and this feels like an exact retelling, so what's the point in me reading it? I don't care. It's not interesting. Nothing that's going on feels new. I did get into part 2, which like should have been an interesting thing, but I'm like 150 pages in, and this is just, it's not the book for me. I don't really think I like Dracula retellings. I know the Hungerstone is a Carmilla retelling, but similar vibes. I liked the conversations in that one, and that's what kept it going. This one just straight up feels like somebody wanted to rewrite Dracula. So I am going to DNF that one and pick my next book. We're getting down to not much in this jar. I'm scared of the options that we have left. So, okay, I get to talk to you about what I've already read, Immaculate Conception by Ling Ling Huang. I did like this author's book, Natural Beauty, more, but I gave Immaculate Conception 4.5 stars. I don't know why I did fingers because I can't show you a half finger. Anyway, this one was so funny. Not like, I mean, actually it was laugh out loud funny. There is a moment in here where it's art related to priests, and like that is true. incredible. I think that this one was interesting. There's some sci-fi in here. We are following Enka, and she meets Mathilde in art school, and they form a very like codependent relationship, especially on Enka's side. She's very obsessed with Mathilde and kind of does anything she can to have Mathilde in her life. And then Mathilde becomes very famous. Her art is so successful, and Enka kind of gets pushed to the back burner. And then there's this technology called Scaffold where Enka can inhabit Matilda's mind and access her memories and her trauma and everything like that, and it would link the two of them together forever. This deals with very toxic, obsessive friendships and relationships. The discussion on the art world I think is very intriguing. I had a lot of fun with this one. Ling Ling Huang writes really good obsession books, and I really liked this one. So 4.5 stars, I would recommend. So we need to pick another book. I kind of want to read We Love You, Bunny. I think I want to get it out of the way. Nope, okay. But this one is still a good option because it's not historical. I know this is some sort of cannibalism, and I'm into that in fiction, not real life. I've been sitting here working on my diamond painting and hanging out on Patreon sprints, and I'm now a third roughly into What Hunger. So where I am right now, well, some rough things have happened. Okay, I'm 93 pages in, and this we're following our main character, Veronica, who goes by Ronnie, and it is her mom and her dad and her brother. And her brother is graduating high school at the very beginning. We are watching them go to his graduation ceremony. He's a valedictorian giving a speech. He has a very bright future ahead of him, and it is their last summer together. She's about to go into high school, so she's starting at 9th grade. So their family doesn't communicate very well. A lot of their emotions are processed through food. So there's this like big event that happens, and it leads to some not good things happening. The synopsis does not say what that specific thing is, but I'm curious about why it doesn't, because I feel like it's the catalyst for everything that happens in this book. But since the synopsis doesn't say what it is, I won't tell you. But there's this change in their lives that happens, and Ronnie ends up starting high school, and she is trying to fit in. She's desperate to do that, and she ends up going to a party, and she gets assaulted. The synopsis says, a boy crosses a line. So we do witness an on-page rape scene. So just be aware of that. It's not like very graphically described, but it's very apparent what is happening. And then she's overtaken by a force larger than herself. And this power comes with an insatiable hunger for raw meat, craving that is both a saving grace and a potential destroyer. So this book deals with female rage and grief and a lot of stuff with our main character's parents being from Vietnam and her feeling kind of in between everything because her parents never talked about anything. She doesn't know how to speak Vietnamese, but with her family, like her extended family, her and her brother are seen as the Americans, so they're not Vietnamese enough. And then by the standards of everybody else, they are too Vietnamese. They are outsiders. They don't live in the nicest neighborhood. So there's a lot of discussions surrounding that. As of this point, this is not very horror feeling, but like we are definitely going to get to that point. I like how I didn't even put my bookmark in here, but I'm liking it. I finally just feel like sitting down and reading, and part of me was like, maybe I'm the problem and that's why the last two books didn't work for me, but I feel like I'm flying through this one and I want to pick it up. Like I'm excited to read again when I'm done talking to you, so I feel like I made the correct decision, and I don't think I'm going to go back to You Weren't Meant to Be Human, because it was not the book for me, sadly. I have made it to 190 pages in, and I am still really liking this. This is one that really feels more like it is a family drama. Everything that is happening in here is centered around the dynamics in this family. That has changed throughout the book, but it still influences everything that they have gone through together. And then there also is stuff with Ronnie and everything that has happened to her on top of that. And she, as a result of everything that has happened to her, has started having these cravings for raw meat, and we're watching her like think about that, eat it, be consumed by this need. I absolutely understand the comparisons to The Eyes Are the Best Part by Monica Kim. They feel very different but similar at the same time. They're both dealing with a change in family dynamics and their parents' life growing up and the culture that they are a part of impacting things, and then being consumed by this like obsessive need to consume things. This one, raw meat. That one, eyeballs. Just the usual. I don't think that it's like super horrific in like gory stuff or whatever, but just trying to exist in this world is very hard for Ronnie. Obviously the stuff going on with the assault she dealt with as well is impacting her psychologically. So I am excited to see how this ends. I'm hoping we get some more themes of revenge. And I think it'll also be interesting to see more about stuff from her family's past, because we've started to learn about that, to see how that is impacting the way her parents are reacting to things. Nobody in her family or anybody knows about this assault that she has dealt with. She's going back to school, and of course he has spun this story. In the process, she does harm him, so people are turning it into like, oh, she's so kinky and was into it. So watching her navigate all of these awful things that have happened to her, especially in such a short time span, is rough. And I do really think that I like this more literary leaning horror book where it's family dynamics and drama, and that leads to a specific horror thing happening. Some of my more recent favorite horror books have been a little more literary leaning, so I think I need to explore more of that just in general. But I am enjoying this. I'm liking it. It's so readable for me. I can see how some people could think this is boring, not very exciting. There's not a lot going on, but I personally am really invested. Okay. This book had some very funny lines in it, which I appreciated. This book is about, eating things, and just like comparisons really made me laugh. So I am going to give Hunger 5 stars. I had a lot of fun with this. I loved the way that it was done. I liked the conversations in it surrounding what people are willing to do in various situations. We did get more of her family's past, especially a certain family member, and I liked seeing all of that. I wasn't expecting it. I just really liked this one. I absolutely understand the comparison to The Eyes Are the Best Part. I do think I like that one slightly more because that one made me feel gross with the horror, and I do like that. But this one I think had a lot of great conversations. It was entertaining. It was just more my kind of horror book. I would definitely recommend this if you like literary horror, and I will read more from this author. I think this is a debut. And if you have any recommendations for literary horror kind of like this, like I loved this and The Eyes Are the Best Part and Natural Beauty by Ling Ling Huang. What else? I can't see my horror shelves, so I don't know. But I am so happy I got a book that I love out of this video, because I was getting a little scared. So we are getting closer and closer, and I'm excited to see what I'm going to be reading next. I only have 3 options for reading, and then 2 that I have not talked to you about yet that I'm not reading in this video. Okay, it's time. We love you, Bunny. This one is long. It's so long. The audiobook is 20 hours and like 20 minutes or something, which feels ridiculous. I gave Bunny 4 stars, and I personally don't need any more information of that story, of that world, whatever. Like, I don't need it. Initially, based on like that knowledge of like, I don't need anything else from this story, was hesitant, and then seeing a lot of people not loving this one made me just decide, like, I'm just not going to pick it up because I'm not someone that needs answers. I don't need backstory, people's thoughts on things. Like, I just don't need it. But here we are. Apparently this can be read as a standalone, which, like, I guess I think it will spoil Bunny. Here's the other thing. I gave Bunny 4 stars, and then everything else I've read from Mona Awad I have actively disliked. So that doesn't help either. I'm actually fairly scared, but I'm gonna give it a go. So what if I DNF my book? Oh, okay. I went into this one wishing that I would love it. I just read a 5-star book. I want to love what I'm reading, but I have made it to chapter 5, which is 66 pages in, and I truly feel like, what is the point of this book existing? I don't care about these characters. I don't care about their reaction to everything that happened in the first one. I don't care about learning their perspective of everything. I didn't want answers from Bunny. I didn't. I'm not that kind of reader. I just don't need it. I don't need it. And I truly feel like my life would be exactly the same if I didn't read this book. And I want books to impact me. I want books to make me excited to read. I want to have fun with them. I want to be obsessed. And that is not the feeling I'm getting from this. I'm actually negatively impacted by reading it because I'm just annoyed that it is happening. And maybe it doesn't help that I haven't liked anything from Mona Awad other than Bunny, but I can't do it. I don't want to do it. I tried. I went in with an open mind. At first I was like, okay, maybe. And the more I went, I don't care. And I'm so sorry. And I'm so sorry that the beginning of this video went really well. And the second half is not doing that. So one of the books in here is going to also have negative things for me to say, and I'm so sorry about that, but I'm hopeful for the other ones. So let's see what we're gonna talk about next. Okay, it is Never Flinch. So, you know, honestly, that's good. Let's get the negativity out of the way. Oh, okay. So I would like to preface this by saying that some of my all-time favorite books are from Stephen King, but also some of my least favorite books of all time are from Stephen King. And guess what one of them is? Part of this series. So, well, it's technically not part of the series. So, this is part of the Mr. Mercedes / Holly universe. I hate Mr. Mercedes with a passion. I don't like that book at all. I don't like what it is. And that is a me problem. I don't think it's like you shouldn't read it, but I just didn't like really anything about it. So that's a trilogy. I read the first one, did not like it, didn't read the rest of them. Then there's another series that Holly is part of. The Outsiders, the first one, haven't read it. I used to own it. Someone told me, you're not going to like it, get rid of it. So I listened to that. Don't own it. And then I think there's another one. And then there's Holly from 2 years ago, I believe, that came out. I DNF'd that one. This one comes after that. Why would I read it? I'm not going to. This is a crime series, which I don't love. I want there to be some sort of mystery in it, and that is just not the case. I don't love his writing in this series. I just don't like it. I don't like it. So I'm not going to be reading it. But like, I feel like it being part of a series, part of stuff that I haven't liked before, is so valid, and like, I wouldn't want anyone else to read it. But that means everything else in this jar is gonna be a great time. I'm gonna have the best time. The one I have read that is left, I did like. So there's that. And the next one is going to be, okay, Witchcraft for Wayward Girls by Grady Hendrix, which I have read. So we have this to talk about, and then 2 more that I actually need to read. This one is chunky. It is so chunky. I read one more after I read this one this year, but I have read all of Grady Hendrix books besides his like kung fu nonfiction, which, sorry to Grady, but I'm not really interested in that one. So in this, we are following a teenager who is taken to this home because she has gotten pregnant, and her parents are like, no, you can't be here. You're not invited. You got to go to this place, give birth, come back, and we're going to pretend nothing happened. So this is set in the 70s. Yes. She's 15 years old, is taken to this place in the summer. There's all these other girls here who are going through the same thing. They are also pregnant and they are just there till they give birth. There's like an adoption thing with the babies, and then they all go back to their normal life. There are all the adults that are in this home that are taking care of them, control every single thing about their lives, and then they find this book, which I love that like a librarian plays this like sharing of knowledge role in this book that is like the catalyst for other things. And then there is some stuff with witchcraft, and I really like this one. I gave it 4 stars. It is slower. It is more historical with the time period. I know people don't want to hear that, but like the 70s is historical. I'm so sorry. But I like Grady Hendrix and his writing and the way he tells stories and what he is talking about and the humor in his books. So 4 stars for me. Not my favorite from him, but also not my least favorite. So we are down to 2 in here, which makes me incredibly happy. I'm kind of hoping that maybe Coffin Moon is next. Or no, actually I think I would be equally as happy with either one. I have read from Isabel Cañas before. I gave the Hacienda 4 stars and the Vampires of El Norte 2 or 2.5 stars, but that one was so romance focused. I have not read anything from Keith Rawson, but I'm good with either option. Okay, so next up we will be reading Coffin Moon. I've been working on my diamond painting, one that I started like a year ago at this point, so ignore that, and listening to Coffin Moon. And I just got to chapter 8, which I think was like, what, 115 pages in, and I am liking this, but it also doesn't feel like my kind of book. So in this, we are set in the 70s. It's the winter of 1975 in Portland, Oregon. And our main character, Minor, has just come back from a tour in Vietnam. So he's dealing with a lot of stuff surrounding that. And he is married, and his wife's sister gets put in jail because she murdered her boyfriend or husband. They end up taking custody of Julia. Yeah, Julia, who is 13 years old and is really struggling in school. She's dealt with so much, and she's processing this in ways of acting out, specifically in school. So Minor is trying to be a guardian to Julia, trying to be a good husband. He also works at this bar, and then a vampire walks in and ruins his life. It's very clear that it's like hinting at this being vampires, but there hasn't been an outright this is a vampire book within the novel yet. So the guy's name is John Varley. I need to see what happens in the synopsis because I don't want to like tell you too many things. Okay, it says Minor crosses John Varley, a killer who sleeps during the day beneath loose drifts of earth and grows teeth in the light of the moon. Oh, okay. So it does say that John Varley ends up murdering Minor's wife and his wife's parents. So then Minor is like dealing with a lot of stuff because he feels like with his actions, he has ended up getting all these people killed that he loves. So then him and Julia are dealing with their grief because Julia has lost so many people in her life, and obviously Minor has just lost people too, dealing with a lot of stuff from being in Vietnam. And it says that they're gonna go on a frenzied pursuit across the Pacific Northwest and beyond, which I am scared of. I don't like traveling books. I don't really love just watching people moving from place to place. I find it very boring. I think I've talked about that a couple times in this video at this point. So while I am liking it up to this point, I am nervous that it is going to get a little too action movie and travel focused, and neither of those things work for me in books. So I am scared, but as of right now, I am enjoying it. It definitely feels very old school. This is set in 1975, so there's like biker gangs and bar talk and like all of this stuff. And everything right now is good, fine, I'm enjoying it, but I'm a little scared for what is to come. Okay, I am now 215 pages into Coffin Moon, and I think that this book is going to probably end up being like a very average 3-star for me. There are parts that I'm liking, parts that I'm not, but I am finding it fairly readable. It's really easy to get through, but I don't necessarily care about what's going on either. I mean, clearly I care enough because like I'm still invested enough to keep going, obviously, but there's nothing that feels like I desperately need to know what's going on, that I'm truly invested. And I don't know, honestly, how to tell you what my issue with it is. It just feels just perfectly fine. There is that aspect of like moving around and doing these things. There was also a time jump in here since the last time I talked to you, and I do understand why we got that, but at the same time, we had an event happen right before the time jump, and I think that it would have been interesting to see the changes that happened within that time to get them to where they are now, because they're kind of like set in something else now versus figuring out the changes on a page. And I think that that would have made me like it more, but we are still following these two. Minor and Julia are just trying to survive, and they are looking for, what's his name, John Barley, and we are getting a little bit of his perspective as well, seeing how he is. Listen, the synopsis says that this is a vampire, so we are seeing him doing his vampire thing and seeing how in this kind of world, like, being a vampire makes him lack humanity. And I mean, I get it to an extent, because if you live for this long, I feel like how are you supposed to retain like that core part of you? But I just feel like I wish we were getting more from everything, more depth, more feelings from the characters, and this is in third person, so I think that that is what is keeping me from feeling more fully sucked into the story. Haha, sucked in vampires. Anyway, I'm gonna go finish the book. So sorry I've been spending so much time at my desk in these vlog clips, but I've been working on my diamond painting, which I have been very obsessive about recently. I go through phases of everything, and I spend a lot of time like doing one thing when I listen to audiobooks, and then I will switch, and now I am in the zone of diamond painting. So this is how much I've done. This is what the whole thing looks like. So it's a very slow process, but I finished Coffin Moon. I am going to give this one 3 stars. I think that there's nothing wrong with this book. It's just not my style of book. I'm learning that I don't love the violence and gore in books when it feels like it's an action movie. I am fine with it in slashers, but I do like something else with it, like some sort of conversation. And then just this kind of like gore to survive, I don't think is my favorite, but like I truly don't think there's anything wrong with it. I didn't end up really caring about the characters. I didn't think that this had a plot that felt like anything exciting. It's a revenge story, which I do love, but I like it to be a little bit more scheming instead of like this primal need to have violence and stuff. I understand why people love this one though. It was just fine for me. So like, do we need to pull out this last one? Because I know what it is. Yes. So we will be reading one more book, and that is The Possession of Alba Diaz. I'm excited for this one. I've enjoyed from this author previously. Maybe another one that I haven't quite enjoyed, but it was just not what I was expecting from that book. But I'm excited for a demonic possession book from this author. And if we're being honest, I'm ready to be done with this video because I want to read some not historical or vampire books for a little bit. I'm glad that I've read all of these books because they are what's very popular in horror, and I was really, really excited to get to a lot of these books. I like to be in the know. I like to see what people are liking, but there's been a lot of similar things with the ones that I had left, at least, and it's been a lot. Do you ever just feel like being dramatic? I do frequently, actually, but I just felt like laying like this in this clip was necessary because it's midnight and I'm tired. I have been still sitting here. Where is my stuff? Working on this diamond painting. Same one, you know. Here's the thing, too. This book is making me figure out Roman numerals. I know it to an extent. 14 should just be 10 and 4, right? You would think. I do know those ones at least. Yeah. Okay, I know, nope. I know Roman numerals. I kind of look like a little thumb down here, you know? When there are people, specifically like older generations, that don't know how to use technology, and then they get their thumb in the corner of a photo. Kind of how I feel like my head looks right now. Oh, I've been working on this vlog for too long, and I feel like every single time I'm existing in the space of this vlog, I feel delirious. Okay, shut up. Well, not shut up, but talk about this book. I'm 132 pages in, and I am very invested in this book. I thought that I was going to be bored out of my mind, if we're being honest. This is set in 1765. I was like, how interesting can it be? But the way it's written, I am very invested. So we are following Alba, and she is engaged to her friend. She is somebody that doesn't want to be married. She's like, I just want to sit and like work on my embroidery and stuff, which is so valid. And I mean, I don't want to do embroidery because it hurts my fingers, but like relatable, that like just want to exist and not be forced to marry somebody and have their children because it's like what's expected of you. If you want that, cool. Anyway, so she decides to strike up this deal with her friend, who she's known her whole life and she's very comfortable with. Their families know each other, all this stuff, and they have this like mutual agreement that like they'll kind of like be friends and married, but not all up in each other's business. They'll be able to exist as like the people they want to be. So they're engaged. And there's this like sickness that is going around and people are dying from it. So her fiance's family owns this property that has like a mine on it, and some people work there, and they're mining mercury, and mercury's like a big thing with money and all of this stuff in this time period. So they go, and there's like weird things happening with this mine. So also with her fiance's family is his kind of estranged-ish cousin. He's known for not having great character, whatever. Nobody really likes him. But her and Alba have this little connection. And I want more of that because there's this like sneaky little like glances and just like thoughts and stuff, and I'm like, you two have something going on, because she's not interested in her fiance in that way, but like nobody but them knows that. So he kind of seems to be interested in her too, because he is like doing things for her that why would he do that if he didn't know her and wasn't interested. So they're at this mine, and she's kind of like called to it, I guess. She wants to go and explore. She is somebody that wants to like be aware of what's going on. She doesn't want to be just like this silly little housewife that doesn't like get involved in anything, because it's going to be part of like her life and everything. So she ends up going into this mine, looking around, and everybody kind of leaves her, which is a little odd, but she starts hearing these cries from a baby. So she's like wandering around trying to find this baby, and there's no baby there. And there's also like weird things. They go into the church, and she's like, oh my god, this water is freezing, but nobody else seems to think it, and it's holy water. And she's like struggling to like do this like little thing with, are they Catholics? Is it like the, I'm not Catholic, I don't know, the like little hand motion things. She's like, my hand feels so heavy. And I love the dramatics of all of it. I like how those moments are described. It feels like, I don't know how it feels, but I think it's very enjoyable to read. I really want to know what's going on. Right now, we are starting to see the beginnings of what I'm assuming is this possession, but in the book, we're not like aware that that's truly what's going on, but like context clues with the title, that's what's happening. There's drama between their families, There's drama within the cousins. What's his name? I forget already. Starts with an E. Elias. There's drama within like him and his specific family, with this mine and everything. And I'm liking all the drama. I think it's very interesting for being set in 1765. And I do want to know what's going on. The moments with Alba and the possible possession are very like sinister feeling, and I like that. So I am pleasantly surprised with how this is going. I gave the Hacienda 4 stars, but then I gave the last book like 2, so I wasn't sure how this one was going to go for me. So far so good. Why did I just give a thumbs up? So getting through this book has gone a little slower than planned. I thought I would be done with it by now, but it's not as engaging for me as it was at the very beginning, even though I am still interested in it. So my favorite part of this is the discussion on autonomy. This whole book is about that. So our main character decides to pursue this marriage so that she doesn't get put in a situation where she is pretty much just like pumping out kids and kids and kids for this man because like he owns her body and he wants heirs and whatever. So she doesn't want to do that. And then for her to get possessed by this demon is just another form of like her losing her autonomy and how scary that is, and how she's obviously not herself, and watching her realize like when this demon is about to take over is very interesting. She does not want to be part of this, which is valid, you know. I don't remember when it happened, but there is a murder that happens on the mine area in the middle of the night, and there's some stuff with that and different people and the priest and whatever, and that investigation has like led to some other things. There's a little bit more with Alba, and I believe it's pronounced Elias, but that could be very wrong. And he's the one that is like the cousin of her current fiance. So there's stuff with that. There's obviously family secrets with the guy's side of the family. There's a lot going on with that. I think the atmosphere in this is really good. The way that the story is being told is good. There's just been a little bit too much of historical stuff for me. And at first I was interested in it because I was like, okay, what's the thing that's going to happen? So we were getting more historical stuff at the beginning, but now that we are getting the creepy stuff, I'm like, okay, I don't need some of this information. Also, this family is so annoying. I don't like how they treat people, including family members, but there is the discussion of privilege in here as well, especially because of Elias and his immediate family within the family. So I like the discussions. I kind of feel like this is a contender to be my favorite from Isabel Cañas though. So I think it'll be like fairly on par with the Hacienda, but maybe a little bit more because I really like the discussions in this one. I'm excited to get back into this one. I do hope that we get a little bit more than what we're getting now, because I think I could get bored with this. But at the beginning she said that this is her grisliest book yet. So looking forward to that. I have finished The Possession of Alba Diaz. I really enjoyed this one. I need to get a copy for my shelves because I think this is my favorite from her. I wish that there was a little bit more tension between the like two men in her life, because she's engaged to this one guy and then this guy's cousin is there, and the tension with that I was having so much fun with in the beginning, and it goes away, and I just really wanted more of that. But I really loved the discussion in this book, especially surrounding autonomy in so many different versions of that, and being willing to fight for that and not give in to what other people want just to make them happy versus doing what is best for yourself. So I really love that. I think that this was creepy. It was atmospheric. It was engaging in the way that it was written, even though the story is slower. I wasn't obsessed with the whole demonic thing, but I enjoyed it, and there was some moments that I was very, very happy with. So overall, really enjoyed this, and I'm going to give it 4 stars. So ending this video on a win. I'm very happy that I have officially read all 20 of the Goodreads horror nominees. So my 2 5 stars are Bat Eater and What Hunger, and then my 2 4.5 stars were Play Nice and Immaculate Conception. I wish there was a little more variety in the options, but I will say I am happy that the horror category is one of the most diverse categories, and that isn't just because of Goodreads, that's because of publishing. I love that horror pushes the boundaries. I love that horror promotes exploration of so many different things, and it's my favorite thing about the genre. If you've made it to the end and want to leave me an emoji to say you're here, you can leave me some sort of scary emoji, a ghost, a devil, a bug, whatever feels scary to you. Thank you so much for spending this much time with me, hearing me yap about books. I hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for hanging out with me, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye.